Janelle was in P3. At the start of P3, we realized that she was procrastinating a lot when it comes to work. We had a lot of conversations with her teachers, even with her tutors. She was also not willing to try harder. She would just do work for the sake of doing work. She would avoid doing her work as well. That was quite a red flag for us. I just kept nagging, to be honest. I just felt that I just needed to keep talking to her, spend a lot of time with her. At that point of time, I was also thinking, is it because I had a younger child? So I didn't have so much time with her. So a lot of things came to my mind. Eventually, I realized it's more like she needed guidance. She needed someone aside from me to work with her. We have already tried a lot of methods with Janelle. Constant nagging, setting my schedule for her, a schedule which didn't really work with her because I had to fit in a lot of other things, for example, work, the brother's schedule. So I had to come up with a best schedule that fits everyone in the family. But Janelle is just a very unique character where I think she needed a lot of one-to-one attention. Before the program, Janelle was very disorganized, and I would say she didn't have the zest to do anything. She would be just going with the flow, like, oh, okay, I need to study. I need to do my work. But with a lot of grumbles, I had to consistently and constantly chase after her to get work done. And it was still not done properly when we heard about FPE. I think it was class 95 where we found out about this program. We were in the car and my husband was like, hey, sounds something that may help Janelle. Of course, the first thing was like, hey, no tuition. Is it possible? Because nowadays, the kids spend a lot of time attending tuition because honestly, we can't keep up with the syllabus in school. She spent a lot of time at tuition, but aside tuition, I think we wanted more. It's more of self-learning, which I think drew us to FPE. I wouldn't say that I was 100% sure that the program would help, but I just felt that after speaking to the founder, Emil, I was bought over. He really spent a lot of time understanding us. From the normal 1 hour session, I think he took 2.5 hours to understand the family. And that's also a risk taker. He said, if we don't try, we won't know whether it will help or not. I quit my full-time job to be with the kids. I did mention to the kids that at P5, I need you to focus. So I will resign and stay home to really guide you academically. I've already done all that, but it just didn't seem to really work out. So that's it, let's try. We never know, it might just work. The doubts that I have was, it's going to be done digitally. Janelle is someone that needs a lot of one-to-one time. She needs the person to be there. She needs a lot of push. For the first 3 months of the program, it was a twice a week kind of session with Mentor Victoria. I think that twice a week session did help. She was very looking forward to each session and it did help her with consistency, even though Mentor Victoria was not with her physically. It was an eye-opener for me. Linking this up with FPE, I think it's a growth mindset that she needs to have. Relating this to business, you cannot have a fixed mindset. You need to be able to accept failure. With failure, you can grow. When you can grow, it actually moves on to lifelong learning. So there's actually a linkage in everything. And on top of that, it also helps with analyzing. For example, when you start up a business, it's never an overnight thing that you can get where you are. It took us a good 14 years to get where we are. And I think the kids have actually grown with us. We always relate it with their academics. You need to go through this. This is the process that you need to learn. You need to understand your work. So when you understand your work, you go through this learning process, it actually helps. Even if you don't do it well, it helps you to understand the process and you get to where you are eventually. For example, for Janelle, she didn't used to do very well for Chinese. She was okay, average, but it was more for composition. She would do well and then sometimes she don't do well. There is always a curve because when you move up from certain level, like P3, you go up to P4, then P4 to P5, there's always a jump. So like this year, I think she feels the impact from doing okay and then suddenly there's a dip. What I actually share with the kids sometimes is, even if you don't do well, persevere. And that's where you move out of the comfort zone. I think that mindset is very important for the kids. When Mentor Victoria came on board, she took a lot of time to understand Janelle's schedule, what Janelle needs, and how much time she needed for rest, which is very important. Victoria had a lot of one-to-one conversations with me. I would share with her character-wise, things like what's happening in school. So from there, she then understands, oh, we have to use certain methods to manage Janelle. For example, she was not very consistent with using the timer. She was very excited about it, and then after that, she forgets. Because Janelle forgets very easily. It's like, oh, this week I'm doing this, and then after that, next week, oh, I forgot. So this is Janelle's character. But Teacher Victoria would actually follow up with me, find out how she is consistent with that. And if she's not consistent, she would think of ways to speak to her, remind her on weekly sessions, which actually helps. The sessions with Victoria is very engaging. She speaks to Janelle a lot. Of course, when it's a one-to-one session digitally, Mentor Victoria has to speak to her. It can't be a quiet session, but she takes effort to understand Janelle, which is very important. She was not just there to deliver the program. Delivering the program and understanding a child, being able to tweak it to allow the child to understand is very different. She doesn't rush through the program. She understands how Janelle is at home before she finds a way to speak to Janelle. How I feel that she has managed to engage Janelle, which helped Janelle focus digitally, would be understanding Janelle. I would think now Janelle doesn't need the timer because she would actually look at the time when she's doing her work. She's more focused now. When she does her work, she's like, okay, I'll complete it. I never felt that Janelle could do well digitally. Even recently, the past 2 months, I have tried doing digital Zoom classes for her. On days that she can't attend her science class in the evenings on Sundays, we would change it to digital class in the morning at 8:30, which surprised me. I could see that she was very focused. Previously, there'll be another tab on YouTube. Probably she has also matured, but the program has also helped her to understand that I need to focus. Last week, she went for an intensive science program. She was able to answer questions and she felt good about herself. And I think that's very important. You need to feel good about yourself, and that's a push factor for you to do even better. Aside to consistency, to having a schedule, to everything else, I think you need to feel good about yourself. The program has actually helped her to understand herself because it's laid out how you get things done, how you should do things. Mentor Victoria has also been very forgiving, say when she forgets her work. So with that, she understands that, oh, I need to get work done so that I get work done properly. There's a good outcome to it. Janelle finds it very interesting to have her sessions, which she won't forget. Oh, I think I have class today, which is very good. Previously, she's like, oh, I have science class today. She will forget that. That's Janelle. But now she doesn't do that. I think the one-to-one session was very useful.
That was great because every lesson, Mentor Victoria will always ask me how's my day, and she always care about me, tell me what's the right thing to do when I need help or anything.
For phase 1, I started noticing improvement in the second month. The first month, Janelle was still very new, very green, excited, received all the items, and she was still fiddling around with it. She wasn't rooted into the program yet. Janelle was still trying to get to know Mentor Victoria. Mentor Victoria was still trying to understand her. Month 2, I still see procrastination, but it was much better. She was more willing to get work done, and she could sit through her work for a longer period of time. She's been able to make more notes now. Mentor Victoria has guided her to learn how to make notes, study, refresh her memory. For example, asking her, how do you study? You don't study last minute. Mentor Victoria has been guiding her. If you know your exam dates, if you work backwards, when do you start doing? When do you start your first revision? When do you start your second revision? So then you don't have to clump everything together and study. She understands that. She's not really putting it to a lot of practice yet, but I see it getting there. Now, after 6 to 7 months, I think the biggest improvement is less grumbles. She understands that this is needed. She needs to get this done and need to get it done properly. High quality work is very important because you can be wasting time doing your stuff, but it's not quality work. If it's not quality, then there's no point because you are wasting your time eventually. Looking back, I think I didn't need to say much to her now. I didn't have to nag as much. I still do, but it's like, hey, I think it's time for you to get this done. And she will, oh, okay. I wouldn't hear much of procrastination now. I think that is the greatest takeaway for me at this point of time.
Before FPE, I would always be very grumpy when I need to do homework and be not organized. But now after I've gone through FPE sessions, I will become more organized. When my mom tells me to do homework, I will be happy to do my homework. During June holidays, most of the time I will just do nothing, but then I will do a little bit of homework, not much. But now this June holiday, I will do a lot of homework. Then my mom will limit my screen time so that I can learn better. I will want to improve on my laziness. Sometimes I will just want to keep on watching TV until I eat dinner or go to sleep. I will not want to read books, study. But I think I improved after Mentor Victoria made a timetable with me. I was more organized on what I was supposed to do and not drag until the last day, then I will finish my homework. I would not procrastinate much on my work. I would just get it done when my mother asked me to. I will also revise my work when I need to. I think that's a great improvement.
After embarking on this program, how I think it has helped her and it will help her moving forward would be being able to understand what is proper scheduling, what is high value work, what is important in your life. You need to know your priorities, which I think Mentor Victoria has actually helped her understand this point. This is my greatest takeaway because being able to understand your priorities, being able to understand what is high value work is very important in life. Priorities, for example, work, school work, tuition work. Those are priorities. But which is the main priority? What do you need to do? How do you make a choice? At this point of time, it may seem very simple to us, but the kids are growing. They need to understand what is priority. Of course, it will be schoolwork. After which, you need to analyze which tuition will be more important, which one comes first. All these are analyzing skills which we as parents may not have taught them previously. It may be very simple. Some parents may feel that it's just teaching, but sometimes the child may not listen. So having a mentor is very important. I strongly believe in that because Janelle does Wushu. So I strongly believe in that because it also happens in her Wushu studio. The older ones also manage the younger ones. She's still being taught by the main coach. But when they are training on their own, mentors are always there to guide. I strongly believe that this will actually help. So this also brings out that side of her. This is how the program has helped her gain lifelong learning, understanding how it works. Not just at this point of time, it will help her moving forward in her future, whether it's traditional or growth mindset. First and foremost, I think it's the child's character. There is no one fixed method to teach a child. I believe that now you can use the word fusion. It can be traditional plus a push. You have to push the child to see the limit of the child. But at the same time, I don't think the traditional methods, for example, the way you learn certain words or rote learning for math, this is something that cannot be taken away. They have to do it certain ways. And of course, there are more interesting ways, but it's still rote learning. It's just how you put it across. I think it's character first, which is a good method in the current era. To be able to push kids to their limit would be a better method. Kids nowadays are very exposed to social media. They learn very, very fast. Traditional methods, though good, may not be the best for your child. If your child learns very fast, how do you challenge him? It has to be out from the traditional method. But at the same time, you don't forget that traditional method is the route to learning. So from there, it has to be a good mix. And then it depends on the child. For example, Janelle does memorizing way much better than her brother. Her brother learns through creative learning, more aesthetically compared to her. Both of them have very different learning skills, different learning styles, and that's where I have to actually use different methods to teach both of them. I choose to believe that the child's character, the child's liking, actually determines which form of learning or teaching method would actually be more beneficial for them. It would be always good to try out. The mentor will be able to help the child understand how it's like because they are of a younger age in this era now. They would feel closer to the mentor. It's still important to have a very good relationship and bonding with the family and parents, but the mentor works very differently. Because they are of closer age group, they will understand how the child feels. They will be able to guide the child better. That's how I feel about mentorship. When the child feels comfortable with a mentor, your child will be able to learn faster. I agree that it's a significant investment. We did think about it. However, it is important for your child to have lifelong learning. You may be able to teach them certain skills, but there are certain skills which mentorship is a very useful method for learning. It's not easy for families to mentor your own child. So I feel that this is the best investment that you can actually try out.
Share your personal experience. Don't be too scared to share anything that you want. Your mentor will be there for you.